Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video on our channel, the Faith Walk Podcast. And let me just say this right out there. I know I'm saying Happy New Year, and it is February when this video will be uploaded, because I think that is how inconsistent we are. And that is what one of the things we're going to talk about today: being inconsistent, walking in our purpose, and really living by faith and walking by faith and not by sight, and knowing yourself and finding who we truly are. Because one of the things I realize is that a lot of persons are just living, they're not walking in their purpose, and they don't have a sense of fear and care to say, I want to know what I was destined to be, and that is what I want to be, what I want to really fulfill and make the Most High, our God, happy with my actions here while I'm on earth. For me, that is one of my sole purposes. I say everybody this whole thing, this whole channel is called Faith Walk Podcast. My podcast that you're listening to now, of course, is faith. So when I said I walk by faith and not by sight, that is one of my many conducts that I used to go throughout my day. And back when I was a smaller child, a teenager, before I know many things that I know now spiritually, one of the things I used to pray for, yearn for, is to know who I am, what I am about, what's my purpose. And that is when my wisdom becomes more knowledgeable, and I am much more aware of my purpose and my whole sense of being. Mind you, it's not an easy road. Let me just say that. Because the way you are nurtured and the way you are natured has a lot of things to do, have a lot to do with the adults that you become. And when you are fulfilling your purpose, you really have to really unlearn some of your old ways, bad ways, habits that you have nurtured and natured in, and really relearned or renature or re-nurtured the ways that you are supposed to have. We're living in a world with a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of persons know their hearts. The Bible tells us that in the end of the days, men's heart will be desperately wicked. Person no longer stands for morals. They don't no longer stands for etiquette. They don't more stand for nothing these days. It takes nothing for someone to really hurt you, and some persons don't know how, in what depth a hurt may lie with somebody. Persons don't really take that into consideration. You can say the least thing to me and it hurt me so much I can never get over it. You might do the least thing to me. You might just slip a step on my toe, but that I can never really get over that hurt, because I don't take the time out. Not to just try to get over it and find ways on me to get over it, but simply because I just don't know how to. One of the many things I've been through in my life, the reason why I always come out victorious is that I walk by faith and not by sight, and I learn to give grace. Yes, I learn to give grace. Today I'm imploring all of you to learn just to give grace, extend grace. I know as female we all have these emotions, some that we weren't taught how to really define, how to really express it, but yet still we have all these thoughts that are bottled up, built up. When we even try to express this, we might be misunderstood in some concept and some ways. Some persons might even use our emotions as weapons against us by triggering it and then use it as bullets to our own wounds. I'm imploring you just to extend grace. We are all human beings, so sometimes we don't want to react, but in some instances some actions need to be taken place. You know, you're listening to your favorite podcaster, your girl Lady Gar. So we're walk by faith and not by sight. I'm an author of children books, and when we're not promoting those books, we're educating, empowering, and motivating somebody. As a mom of two, my journey is far from easy, far from light. It is far from over, and it is not getting any better. But as a mom, I stand on conduct code of conduct that I live by. And in the beginning of the video, you hear me say, I walk by faith and not by sight. And that is one of my most important conducts that I stand on daily. Persons ask me, oh, I do it. I don't do it of my own. I literally walk by faith and not by sight. Everything I do is blindly. My heart says do it, and I will just do it. Once the most I say it is time, I will do it. That is me. And 90% of the time, when I follow my heart and my soul, it is in the right direction. I am guided by the Most High, and this is what I truly and thoroughly, without a doubt, believes, that I'm guided by the Most High. In every instances, in every step that I'm about to take, I put it in the Most High hand, just to take control of the whole situation, no matter what it is. And in the end, it is always work out for my benefits and what's best for myself. I have made a lot of transformation over the years, a lot. Um, some things that I really expressed openly to friends, associates, even some families. Um, I don't have what I should say, a sibling that I would say a mother and father sibling. I'm not an only child. I'm the seventh daughter. I'm the seventh child from my mother, and I have a lot more siblings who I know all my siblings, but we are not the siblings that are knit tight. That wasn't a decision I made for myself. Does it affect my adult life? No and yes. And let us be honest. And this is a bit more of also a video that is a sensitive video. It does affect me and it does not affect me. And I want to put it in the best context I can put it. Did I choose for this to not have a sibling to say, um, if I should be drowning, and my sibling, one of my siblings would be the first phone call. That's all. When I say we're not close, that's how it is. It is that, and that is it. My siblings, if I am drowning right now, God forbid, my siblings would not be my first person I would dial. Not one of my siblings I would say I would dial first. Maybe there's one that I would dial, maybe be the third dial, but not the first dial. I am adopted, and um I am adopted by my mom and my dad. My biological mom raised me. I love my biological mom with all my heart. I grow to love her. I honored her. I respect her. I had a rough teenage years where respect was is concerned when it comes to my mom. I never always respected her. I just think that the Bible says parents don't provoke your children to wrath. And because of that, at one point in my teenage years, I was a bit mouthy with my mother. And with that, I regret. I apologize for her, to her privately, and I learned to publicly apologize to her. I tell everyone who knows my story, sorry, my friends would say, I say this. Some persons would judge and say, I wouldn't have a relationship with her, but I love my mom. I still do have the little relationship that I do have with my biological mom. I do have it. I cherish it. I respect it. And if I can turn back the end of time, would I do things differently? Definitely, I would. But it takes a lot of growth and encouragement to really see the truth and the right from the wrong, not to justify my action at all. If I knew better then, I would definitely act better. As a teenager, there is so much emotions that you're going through and dealing with that you yourself are not even familiar with or aware of what is going on. So with that said, being adopted is not a bad thing. I love my parents. I love my adopted dad. I was adopted since I was 11, so I know my parents was in my life since I was 11 years old. So to be honest with you, if I was supposed to be joining right now, my adopted dad would be my first call. For my biological dad, that's a whole different story, and I don't know why we're diving into this so much, but that's a whole different story. So I'm not familiar with no biological dad whatsoever. Does that affect me? Yes. Um, why? Because I see how important it is for fathers in, especially their females, children lives. I know that some fathers really don't set the bar too high when it comes to their daughters, as much as they're involved in their lives. But I think fathers should really set the bar high for females to really know what to expect when they started their own dating and is looking to really transition into becoming a mother and a wife. I think our young boys really are not that equipped to really do that part of it because our fathers are really slacking where that is concerned, and I really think that affects my personal life. So one of the things that I prayed for when I was getting children is that all my kids have a father and their father would stand by them. I have two kids. Both my kids have fathers. Both my kids' fathers and I are no longer together. We would say, and that is a full stop. None of my kids' father and I will never be together, and that is again another full stop. My last child's father was the worst, not in sense of the worst as the worst person, but the old separation was the worst. It was worse than separating with my first child's dad because too much emotions were really tangled up in that. And the way it ended also has a lot to do with how you process the emotions. So, but nevertheless, both my kids have great father. Would I change my kid's father? Mm, that's another story for another day. So I'm just encouraging somebody today. Again, when I started my spiritual journey, I had all these issues and more dealing with. But again, we're walking by faith and not by sight. Parents would see me daily going and coming, smiling, and they would often say, Lady Garrison, how are you? Oh, you do it. And again, I don't do it the most. I do really and truly do it for me. I live by my code of conducts, and they really brought me through. Some of my code of conducts that I live by is if it is God's will, then let it be done. And why worry when you can pray? Nothing lasts forever more than the good salvation, and with God in the vessel. This is one of my favorite one daily. With God in the vessel, we can smile at every and any storm that comes about. One of the things that I pick up reading over a few years ago, one of the things that I pick up doing an hobby that I really enjoy is really reading. I find myself reading more. I never used to read a lot. Although I'm a children's book author, reading was my first hobby. Now it is. I love to read. One of my best reader is this book by um Norman Vincent Peale, and this book, listen, I'm not promoting it, but it I can tell you it can transform your life. It says the power of positive thinking. And one of the things that I struggle with is over the years, persons always tell me that I have a big ego and I really need to just calm down or be more humble. And I used to question it and say, why people always tell me that and everyone always in the same breath say I'm the nicest person. And when I read this book, it also speaks of somebody who has the biggest ego and they weren't stopped to listening. They weren't listening. I wish I marked the page, but I will really come back and find it one at some point for you. Um, I never listened. I was the one who's always talking. I was the one who always want to be heard. I never really listened. So many information flew right over my head because I never took the time out to really listen. One. Two, my ego is so big because of what comes at me. I then put up a shield so I can overcome the things that come at me because I always know that I'm bigger than whatever come at me, I'm bigger than it. So no matter what comes at me, I'm bigger than it. So when I question myself to say, and again, not strain, this is something that I do a lot of self-reflection. This has also helped me along my journey to where I am today at peace. is that when I question why am I having this big ego, why can't I be just humble? When I got the response from the Most High is that because you are going to go through so much if you don't have this persona of this ego. Whatever you're going through will eventually consume you. You have to have a balance in life. When you're one of the strongest soldier, when you're on the strongest soldier list, you really have to have that balance where you can take those blows. And my because of my ego, I can take those blows as they come. When they come, mm, I break back, I bend, but I'm never broken because of my ego. Things hurt me and my shield goes up, and I tend to try to have this shield, but there is no shield. Behind all this is still that broken child that is desperately, or seems desperately, or was desperate just to find that soft space, that really relaxed moment, that really place that says this is where I want to be, and this is where I find comfort and peace and protection. And that is what I used to search for in others before finding it in myself. um no one cannot make you happy. You really have to be happy within yourself. Nobody cannot make your life better. Your life have to be already better and balanced, and then someone had to you. And living my fulfilled purpose and finding me helped me to see all that. Before growing up, I expected that other person is gonna make me happy, other person. So when persons come in my life, I tend to want to change them to do what I want them to do, because they're supposed to make me happy, because I'm waiting to be fulfilled by someone else when no, not fulfilling myself. So on my faith walk journey, these are the things that I've learned, that I've overcome, that I'm still transitioning in, and that I'm still learning. And listen, when you find peace, when you find your purpose, when you are walking with the Most High, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect world. I used to still have triggers. I used to still have triggers until I learned who my triggers are, how my triggers were, and I dimmed it. I relaxed my mind. I took my mind off it. One of my biggest triggers was my children. That was one of my biggest triggers. And persons manipulated it. They use it and they tarnish it. They use it until there is no more bullets left in that gun, and they keep reloading it, and each time I got the shot it hurts just like I wasn't shot before. And I learned to overcome all that, and I'm still, it's a new process. It's a new process. And again, you haven't seen me from last year because I'm dealing with all this. I'm putting it all out there, and as the year go by, I will be in more depth of what really transpired. But persons can really make you or break you. I can say this much: 2024 was one of my hardest year ever in my entire life. I went through all the stage of mourning I went through, and nobody for me died. I went through all the stages of mourning, and nobody for me died. And when person saw me, I was smiling, I was strong, I was going about my business every day. I had to show up on my job. For those who don't know in the back, when I'm not doing my podcast, everything I do is around children. Being a children book author, I'm also a newborn care specialist where I work with babies. So everything I do is around children. So I'm always showing up. I'm always happy with my families. I'm always bubbly. And Devon seems just to be this content, happily bubbly person. And behind all that, I'm tearing down, I'm breaking. And I'm asking the Most High for strength daily, which He gave me. Praise to the Most High, which He gave me, which He delivered me, which He showed me what, why, how, the reason. I wouldn't have it any other way at this moment, because I know what I know now. And this is how the Most High can transform your life. So I'm sharing all this with you to encourage you today not to let whatever you're going through consume you, but to learn to open up to it, understand it, embrace it, find peace within it, Not only peace within it, find the rightful purpose of it. See the truth beneath the lies. Because when the enemy comes upon us, we're only going to see the reason why. Don't question God why. Ask God why not. Say thank you. Praise Him for it. Thank you for it. Because whatever I go through and whatever I'm still going through, because it's not over yet. I can tell you a million reasons why it was needed to be done. The transformation, when I redo my reflection and who I look at, I was like, really? That was me? This is how I was? And I always say to people, don't judge, but yet still I always judge people. Before I know persons, I tend to be judging them. Literally, before I know persons, I tend to be judging them. Judging them by their appearance, judging them by my thoughts. And that is another thing. Let us dive into thoughts. This video is getting a little longer than I wanted to, but let us dive into thoughts. One of my biggest things that I struggle with is anxiety. And I struggle with anxiety severely. When I do my counseling sessions, each time I try to do my counseling session, my therapist said to me once, was like, you don't need counseling. Each time I go to therapy, my therapist would end up saying that we end up having this conversation like we are friends. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, I started my first therapy session, and my therapist was like, how do you go through all that and be so strong? The most I listen. Recently, when I had to start about my therapy session, my therapist really unpacked a lot. He was much better than my first therapist because we ended up being friends and not like the help that I really needed. So my therapist right now really unpacked a whole lot and really find out the root of all my anxiety and my abandonment issues and why I have that all the aces as a child growing up, and even the persons who tend to tell me things to hurt me unveil the truth, unveil the veil from my head and let me really see the truth. Because when somebody is going to say to you, you don't have a relationship with your mother or your father, so how can you have a relationship with somebody? And you're saying to yourself that that's not my choice. I wish I did. I wish I that's all I want. That is why I'm fighting for this. That is why I need a relationship. That is why I need my kids where I am, because I don't want them to feel like how I felt. I don't want somebody to be telling them what you're telling me. That is why I'm trying to bridge this gap. And you're transforming into this person, but this person is hating on you, degrading you, thinking they're doing you bad when they're just opening up your eyes to reality. No, they're not right. Because you're not having a relationship with your mother and father, that's not true. That's not on you. It's not like they're there and they want you to come home and they call you and they check up on you and they show you this love and you just shut them out and say, oh, I can't live without you. That's not your case. You don't choose it. So it's just like you being growing up in a community with different skin color. You didn't choose to be born the color of your skin, aren't you? So people really have to be careful of what you say to persons. You can make them and break them. But when the devil is taunting your life and they're doing the devilish things and they're living their best life and they feel that I have to do this person so bad just to make myself feel better. The enemy will do whatever it takes to make yourself feel better. You too have to know who you are and what you are about. Don't let whatever nobody say define who you are. Okay? And upon closing this wonderful session, this breakout the room session, I am back. Yes, I know the inconsistency is real upon my path. I'm going to try to upload at least twice per week. on my this podcast platform, and also on the YouTube channel. For those who are not following my YouTube channel, please subscribe. It is Faith Walk with Lady Garza as well. Just like my podcast right now that you're listening to, I'm going to upload 2 days per week instead of every day. I know when I listened to the podcaster and I was like, don't jump into it right off the bat to try to upload every day. It can be really consuming, especially for somebody who like me who have a lot of things going, and this is how I have to function. I am a multitasker and I can't focus on one thing. It will never get done. I have to be doing 2 3 things at the same time for everything to get done, and that is just my personality. We will dive into my personalities on a different episode. For today, I just want to say I am back. I am fighting my consistency. I am stop procrastinating, and we are doing this for 2025. You know, you're listening to your favorite girl, Lady Guys, who walk by faith and not by sight. I'm an author of children's books, and when we're not promoting those books, we're educating, empowering, and motivating somebody. Hope you got something from this video. See you soon. Bye.